What is going on, everybody? It is Friday, September the 10th, and that means it's time for my news radar. Really quickly, before I jump into the actual news that this video is going to be about, I do want to say a quick thank you to everybody watching my content, because August was the best month that this channel has ever had. We picked up 385 subscribers, which is not quite my top mark, but it's close to it. 109,000 views, 353,000 minutes watched, which is very, very good. And then, of course, what I'm not showing you here is what I actually made from doing YouTube for that month, and it was the highest amount that I'd ever made by about 25%, which was a pretty big increase. So thank you so much for watching my content and for helping me create this life that I'm trying to live and to try and chase this dream. So on the last news radar, I did a segment talking about how Microsoft had removed some Surface Duo functionality from the now updated Microsoft News app, which is called Microsoft Start now. Microsoft News app before would span, so you could get, split screen functionality. It no longer does, as it is now called Microsoft Start, and Microsoft seems to not give a crap about Surface Duo's software. So I put out a poll here asking you guys kind of what you thought in this regard. I said, when combining that fact about Microsoft Start with the lack of substantial updates in several months, how would you say you feel about the appearance of Microsoft's commitment to Surface Duo? And as you can see here, this has only been about 16 hours, but we do have 222 votes. And I just kind of wanted to talk about how you guys are feeling about Surface Duo real quick before we get into the rest of the news. Because I think that this is news. How do those hardcore Duo fans feel about Surface Duo? I think that's news for Surface Duo fans. Only 8% said I'm totally fine with the state of software on Surface Duo, and I honestly don't know how anybody would feel that way, but nonetheless, there you go. Some people do feel that way. 23%, about a quarter of you guys said things aren't perfect, but I'm sure they're working on Android 11. So the idea there being, look, we get it's not good, but they're distracted by Android 11, and it's going to get better when Android 11 comes out. And I can understand feeling that way. Half of you guys, though, said starting to worry we've been forgotten about for Duo 2. And I think that's probably where I would land. If you're owning the first Surface Duo, how long has it been since there was a substantial update that didn't introduce more bugs than it fixed? It's been like half of a year at this point for me. Surface Duo 2 we know is around the corner. Is Duo going to get left in the dust when Duo 2 comes out? Look, I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I can understand feeling that way. And then 17% just outright say Microsoft has no idea how to work with Android, and they've made that abundantly clear over the last year. We've also got a few comments here. DGAS said pretty much typical of Microsoft hardware. They abandoned pretty much every device they ever released. I don't think I'd go quite that far, but I get it. Jerome says never really cared about Microsoft support. Basically saying he bought it because of the hardware, and he doesn't really care what Microsoft does with it anyways. Walter says, how can they not know how this app performs on Duo? I wouldn't be surprised if they all have iPhones, to be honest. I would not be surprised if, I'd say like 75% of them probably carry iPhones. The amount of people in Microsoft carrying Surface Duo might be like 3 people, like if I'm being totally honest with you. And here would be my best guess. Microsoft isn't committed to a mobile business. Not sure why. They had a great start with the original mobile OS. They revised it. They dropped backwards compatibility. Duo can still be a great phone if they would focus on the OS. Like Samsung, they need to produce great hardware and great software. It can be done. I agree with that last sentiment completely. Duo could be fixed. That's why it's so frustrating that it hasn't been. So guys, with that out of the way, let's get into the news. Just the other day, we got a new look at Windows 11 in the form of a nice, cool-looking little stylized trailer. And while I will show you sort of some of it here, I do encourage you to go watch it yourself, because it's going to kind of give you an idea of kind of the visual look and the feeling that Microsoft is trying to present with Windows. You're going to notice gaming being something that is front and center. But yeah, like I said, I'll drop a link to this in the description down below. It's pretty cool. You've got Master Chief blowing some stuff up, and it just kind of gives you a general idea of the look and feel of Windows 11 going forward. Definitely go check this one out as we get closer to that October the 5th official launch date for Windows 11. Are you going to be upgrading when it comes time for that to happen, October 5th? Are you going to install the update? Let me know in the comments down below. So in the world of strange technology lives smart glasses. For some reason, there are people that want to wear normal glasses like what I wear, except you got like a camera up here, maybe you've got some bone induction speakers or headphones, or maybe downward facing speakers here so you can hear audio, whatever. Apparently this is something that at least some people do want. Facebook, of all the companies in the world to be chasing this, have in fact begun chasing this exact dream with Ray-Ban. And they showed this off just the other day, Ray-Ban Stories smart glasses. And from the front, you know, you could be forgiven for just thinking, hey, that's a pair of Ray-Bans. I know that they're Ray-Bans because it says it there and it says it there. And I think if they could put Ray-Ban across your forehead, like if it could project the words Ray-Ban up on your forehead from the glasses, they'd probably go for that too. And these are pretty similar to a lot of what we've seen. They've got two 5-megapixel cameras, one over each eye in those corners. There are speakers on the temple, so you can use them as open air headphones, as they say. There's a capture button. There's a trackpad on the side, like a touch sensitive area to control music and things like that. There's a power button, and it says a trio of microphones for not just capturing video, but for actually using the hot word command, which I believe is hey, and then you know, maybe I'm going to say some stuff not to trigger. Maybe you've got one of those Facebook portals in the background. Then you say Facebook. So basically what you could do is you could be walking down the street wearing your Ray-Ban bad boys, and you see something you want to take a picture of, and you say, hey, Facebook, take a picture. And it, boom, there you go. You take a picture or take a video, and that works. Or you can just use the button up top, which seems maybe like that would be easier to me. Personally, I think I would be disabling the hot word connection because it's already weird to have Google listening to every word I say with my smart speakers. I really don't want Facebook doing it as well. I think one intrusive company listening to all the things I say in my house is probably well enough, so I'd probably shut that off. And it looks like you can shut that off, based on a video from a Twitter friend of the channel, Joshua Vergara, who actually has a really good video demoing these smart glasses. And he showed off the camera itself. I'll let some of this play here. This is a video that he took with these smart glasses. And look, is it a phenomenal video? No. But the fact that it's coming off of a 5-megapixel camera on your glasses that you're wearing, that's pretty impressive, if I don't mind saying. And what's even more impressive, I feel like, is just how well they seem to be working themselves. I'm going to show you this extra little clip here where he's talking about coming up on a beautiful scene like this and how it works to take a picture and what the picture looks like. So this is a good little demonstration here. Let's let this roll.
So what's going to happen if you see a scene like this and you want to get a nice photo of it? You just got to look in that direction and hold the button.
And I mean, guys, that's not a terrible picture. Like, that's actually, you could post that on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and nobody would have any prior thought that, like, oh, that guy clearly took that photo with his glasses on his face. Like, that's not going to come to anybody's mind. I don't think this is a product that I care about, that I would buy necessarily, but they work better than I thought they would. And I made a joke on Twitter. I said something like, put privacy concerns on your face. And, you know, look, we can all feel a particular way about Facebook, but it's interesting tech. It's kind of cool. I enjoy seeing it. So there it is. And speaking of Facebook, just a while back, there were some news articles going around that were first started by a website called ProPublica, and then it was picked up by Ars Technica, and it aimed to really take Facebook to task over WhatsApp. And look, I'm no defender of Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. I don't like Facebook. However, this article is a bit of a hit piece. So let's look at this article, and I'm going to tell you where they go wrong. WhatsApp end-to-end encrypted messages aren't private after all. That sounds bad, right? Because that's the whole point of WhatsApp, is it's got end-to-end encryption. So that I send you a message and no one else can read it. No one else can know what we're talking about. The government can't know what we're talking about. Facebook, who owns WhatsApp, can't know what we're talking about. But that's not quite what's going on here, is it? So let's look at what's actually happening. They point out a loophole in this end-to-end encryption. And they say the loophole in WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption is simple. The recipient of any WhatsApp message can flag it. They can report it. Once flagged, the message is copied on the recipient's device and sent as a separate message to Facebook for review. So if I send you something that is inappropriate or whatever, that you're like, man, this is not what I want to be getting on this app, or it's sensitive information, it's something illegal, it's whatever, you can click report, and then it gets copied and sent to Facebook. And I just want to make something very clear here. That is not a loophole in end-to-end encryption. Because it was encrypted. If you send me a message that's got something horrible in it, it was encrypted as it got to me, right? It was encrypted on your end. It was encrypted on my end. Then I manually copied it and sent it to someone else. That's not a problem for end-to-end encryption. The worst case scenario, you sent something to someone who you shouldn't have been trusting because they were like, I could always just copy the message, take a screenshot, and send it to whoever. Is that a loophole in end-to-end encryption? You send me a sensitive photo and I screenshot it and send it to, you know, some of your friends. Would we call that a loophole in end-to-end encryption? No, I don't think that we would. So personally, this article and the article that it came from on ProPublica, these are bullcrap. These are bad articles. These should have corrections on them. These are very misleading. So, and let's close today's show doing something that I normally would not do. I'm going to talk about the iPhone because something really crazy happened just the other day. And I feel like I need to talk about it briefly about what it actually, you know, what the rumor actually is. And then I want to talk more about the reaction to the rumor. So there's a guy named Jon Prosser who has been leaking devices and hardware for a long time. I've cited him on this channel a couple of times. He actually leaked the Pixel 6 devices very accurately, well ahead. He leaked Apple AirTags. He's leaked the Apple AirPods Pro, the headphones. He's leaked a lot of stuff very accurately over the years. But just the other day, he took this to an entirely new level of insanity and possible craziness. I don't know what else to call it. Because he leaked renders of not the iPhone 13, but the iPhone 14. Guys, we don't have the 13 yet. He's leaking the iPhone 14. And what's purporting to change in the iPhone 14, if these rumors are to be believed, if his leaks are accurate, are pretty crazy. Somehow they're effectively getting rid of the camera bump on the iPhone, which there wasn't a huge bump, but now apparently there's going to be no bump. You know, the iPhone, I believe, uses like 7 lenses or so on these cameras. So whether they're going to be doing some kind of a periscope, you know, where it goes down, hits a mirror and goes sideways, that takes up space too. I don't know what they're doing to make that work. It's some kind of Apple magic if it's true. They also seem to be going back to an older design from some of the earlier iPhones, which I think people were into. They're going to be moving the dot array, the projector, all the face unlock stuff to under the panel. And this actually isn't that crazy. And there were other rumors that kind of corroborated this. And having an under panel dot projector and that kind of stuff is actually way easier than doing an under panel camera, although you can still see a hole punch there for the selfie camera. So that stuff is actually corroborated by other reports and isn't really that crazy. It's sticking with the lightning connector, which is still absolute garbage. But basically, that's the general overview of the iPhone 14. The biggest thing will be no more gigantic, you know, bathtub notch that looks like it came from 10 years ago, because it's been around for a long time. But that's not really what I care about. What I care about is this. This leak, this video came out, it trended, it got really big really quickly. Loads of people watched it. And a lot of people's reaction was basically to say Jon Prosser is a grifter, he's a charlatan, he's a liar, and he's making all this up. And here's what I want to say. If you do not have evidence of that, that is a wildly inappropriate thing to say, and you shouldn't say it. To me, that's morally wrong. Is this a crazy rumor? Is this insane that he might have knowledge of the iPhone 14 a year out? We don't have the 13 yet. Is that crazy? Yeah, it's pretty wild. However, this is the correct response to this leak. Wow. If this turns out to be true, that will have been crazy. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Jon has been accurate in the past. He has sources he trusts. Clearly someone is telling him this. Let's see what happens in a year. And look, if it doesn't happen in a year and a half, whatever it's going to be, or a little bit over a year, if this was totally wrong, is there a chance that he's lying? I guess, but I don't have evidence of that. What's far more likely is that he's hearing this from people that he trusts and he thinks it's real. There are far too many people on the internet who want to pump themselves up by tearing other people down. And I don't like it. I'm not here for it. And if you're someone that has been doing this, watching this video, stop. Just say what's true. If I said Is that really what iPhone 14 is going to look like? If I asked you that. Here's the honest answer for you to say to me. I don't know. That's the right answer. I don't know. Is Jon Prosser outright lying? Well, I don't know that either. Therefore, I'm not going to make that claim. If I make that claim and say Jon Prosser is lying, and guess what I need for that? Evidence. I need to know that, right? I don't know that. You don't know that. No one knows that. Remain agnostic on this point. Just say you don't know. You can have an opinion. I don't know, but I doubt that's what they're going to do. Maybe you have reason for that. That's fine. But the reaction this got from a lot of people in the tech community was honestly just gross. To me, I feel like in the tech community, we should be building each other up. We should be celebrating technology, helping other creators out, not tearing each other down, criticizing each other, and talking shit as much as we do. And before anybody in the comments says, well, Shane, that's awful hypocritical of you because in this last segment, you criticized 2 different articles about WhatsApp. Okay, here's how that's different. I know for a fact that those articles are incorrect. They are worded in such a way that is misleading. I know this. And now you know this because I told you how it's misleading. That's different. If Jon Prosser came on and said iPhone 14, but in fact, I actually had the iPhone 14, me and old Tim Apple are best buddies in real life, and he's giving me the iPhone 14 to test, and I know that he's lying, I could call him out and say, hey, this is incorrect. I don't know if you're lying or not, or if maybe you've been misled, but this is incorrect. That's the difference. So that's my soapbox to end News Radar. Guys, thanks for making it to the end of today's video. I'll be back for another News Radar on Monday and another one on Friday as usual. Stay tuned for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.